Hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Content Podcast. Today, the content goes abroad. Joining us all the way from Denmark, it will come as no surprise to find out I'm joined yet again with another brilliant guest. He is, of course, Mr Bassala Sambou. Bass, before we get into it, thanks firstly for coming on the show, and how is life treating you in Denmark?
Yes, my bro. I appreciate it, man, having me on this podcast, man, doing my thing. I'm doing well, thank you. Just with the COVID and everything's been all right, to be fair. But yeah, man, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Like you said, bro, I don't think it really matters where you are in the world. I think everyone's sort of affected by this COVID stuff, but you've just got to get on with it, haven't you? You've just got to keep
Honestly.
going, and then hopefully we'll be out in no time. So we'll get into it. Your professional career, if I'm not mistaken, started at Coventry City. What were the lessons? What were the lessons that you learnt there, would you say, that still stay with you now?
I would say definitely having the right attitude, and definitely it gave me a very hard work ethic as well. Especially, I want to definitely hit on attitude, because at Coventry you couldn't get away with nothing. Like, they'd be onto you straight away, and like even when I thought I could get away with something, like I couldn't get away with it, and then they gave me. So even when I used to do stuff and get punished for it, and then I used to think, you know what, let me not do that again. And it used to help me and direct me into having a better attitude towards things and a better mindset towards things as well. But also, I was always hardworking, but I feel like at Coventry City is where I really pushed myself to become even, demand more of myself as well, because the coaches demanded more of me. So I think that's what just allowed me to be in the position that I am today, because of where it all started at Coventry, like with the hard working and the desire and the having the right attitude towards anything that I did, definitely.
Yeah, so obviously I know it may seem like quite a long time ago now, but what would you recall as your fondest memory at Coventry City?
I'd always have to say this, it has to be the FA Youth Cup game against Arsenal. Like, I would always have to say that, just because even though we lost the game, just like in general, like that moment for me, there was a lot of pressure on me from like outside of the game, not just in the game as well. Like, so I feel like that moment, and then being able to score in the last minute and taking us to penalties, obviously meant so much to me. And obviously my parents being there for the first time in, I think it was like 3 years. I imagine they haven't watched me play football in the first, for like 3 years. And then my friends were all there, people that I went to school with, a lot of people that who supported me from literally day one were there. So I feel like that was one of the biggest things for me at Coventry at that moment in time, just because I had a lot riding on the game also.
Yeah, and you probably don't know, but I was actually at the game as well. Yeah, I was there, and I've had Reece Ford and Jack Hickman both on this podcast, and both of them said hands down that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they both said it was probably the highlight of their career so far. And where I was sat with my friend, you scored, and that was the corner that you ran to, and for a second you forget that, look, this isn't a World Cup final, but
honestly,
the scene, the way everyone just felt after you scored that goal, it was such an incredible achievement. And I think that probably did play a big part in obviously what was to come next for you in your career. You were then offered a huge opportunity by a massive club like Everton. How did it feel knowing that a Premier League club were interested in you at such a young age?
To be fair, because I had such a good run, like in the Youth Cup and also at youth level, I always, like, me and my agent, we were very close. So he would always tell me what was going on in the background. And it came to a stage where it must have been like around January time. And he, just because I was doing so well, he just literally sat me down and said, listen, there's a lot of teams interested in you at the moment in time. A lot of Prem clubs at the time as well. So he ran through a couple of the names, and then when I heard Everton, it's just when it just clicked for me that I really wanted to go there. So when you hear all these teams as well, you feel so, like, at first it's like shock, because you can't believe that you've done so well, that all of these teams really want to, you know what I'm saying, have really like what you bring to the table, and they're really interested in you. They really want to take you on board and stuff. So I was very humbled and very nah, it meant a lot to me. It gave me even more of a confidence than it did. Like, because obviously I came in with a lot of confidence, but it gave me more of a confidence because then now I knew, like, yeah, whatever I do end the season, I know I can go somewhere and, you know, push on to the next level. So it felt great. It felt amazing.
Well, yeah, I think it's fair to say that you had some brilliant success at Everton. But for you, what stands out as your fondest memory at the club?
I would say winning the Premier League 2 the second time. Because obviously the first time was me, like my first year, me being there, and I was in and out of the team, and it was difficult for me to really, like, because obviously there was a lot of big names at the time as well, so it was really difficult for me to push on. And even when I did get my opportunity, I still felt like I wasn't there, like regularly. I wanted to be there regularly, but through the circumstances at the time as well. So there's a lot going on, like at the time at the club. So they didn't really let me play as many games as I would like. And coming from an injury as well, I remember going there and then straight away getting injured as well. So there was a lot of like hiccups at the time of my first year. But my second year, I would definitely say was the best year for me in general, just because as a team, we were just a great team. And I feel like the friendship of the group of lads, we had such a great friendship. Like it was just great. Like I remember just even in general, like how we were as a team and how strong we were and how many great players we were. Not saying that we didn't have great players before, because we did. That first group was, I mean, we had too many names in the first group, but that second year was just like that. So that last year was just like my real, yeah, you know, like when you grow with your teammates and then you go on to win, you know what I'm saying? Like it was such a different and better feeling because I was there for a while. And obviously I had my highs and then had my real lows in the second year. And then to come out on top like that in my third year was incredible. And it meant so much to me. And I feel like it meant so much to the players and everyone as well. So I would definitely say the third year was definitely definitely the highlight for me. Also, it allowed me to push on because I did so well. It allowed me to push on to move on to the next step of my career. So definitely the third year,
yeah. So very quickly, just before we get into obviously a crazy journey for you, the team that you had so much success with at Everton included some top talent, as you've said. In your opinion, which players would you say stood out at the time that it was just sort of a unanimous thought that these particular players are going to just make it straight to the top? Which players for you stood out?
There's honestly so many. Like if I had to, where do we even start? Like there was too many, like Dom Calvert-Lewin, there's Ademola Lookman, there's Dennis Adeniran, there's Nathaniel Markello, who else? And then there's Leon Walsh, there's Kieran Dow, Tom Davis. There's too many players to even get into all of them, but I feel like the biggest one, because he's had the biggest success right now, I would say is probably Dom Calvert-Lewin. He was, obviously I played with him. He was my strike partner for a little while, and just to see the work ethic that he put into the game and how he's like come out on top right now, he's just incredible. Like I just got to give him his credit. Like he's done so well for himself.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as you said, it's for all to see how well he is doing. You mentioned there that you were his strike partner, and it's often, for me anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, you're pretty much a lone striker, and so is he throughout his career as well. So what was it like to sort of collaborate with a player who, as yourself, is pretty used to playing up there on his own? How was it like to partner up with someone like Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
It was obviously difficult for me at the start because I was so used to playing by myself. Like I've always been a lone striker. I would even say to this day, I'm still a lone striker, but I felt like it's always good to learn off each other, if that makes sense. It's always good to have a second striker, just so you know how to play with two strikers. It's always good to have that link-up player, that one who's strong. Like Dom was at the time, more of a target man who would hold up the ball better than me. So I would learn from him and watch him and how he did that and try to adapt that into my game. So it was definitely, I felt like everything that playing as a two definitely was a learning curve for me because I needed that. Like I didn't play I mean, up to that point, I didn't play with a second striker. It was always me by myself throughout my career. I started in the 15s all the way to first year pro at Everton, and that was my first time playing with two strikers. And I would say that was definitely difficult at the start, but it helped me for today. Like, I definitely learned a lot from it.
It's clear to see that you've took a lot in terms of knowledge, lessons, good and bad, from your days at Everton. You then decided for a new challenge and left England for Eredivisie. What inspired the switch to Holland? What were the motivation factors for you?
I just wanted something fresh. I wanted something where I could go out and really prove like my worth and show who I am, and play in a team where I know I would play week in, week out. But that was the main thing for me. Like, obviously at Everton, it was a shame that I didn't stay there. You know, I would have loved to stay there, but it didn't really meet the demands that I was looking for at the time. I wanted something more. I wanted to push on and progress more and improve more. So I felt like the next step was to go to a team where I know I was going to play week in, week out, but I didn't want to drop down in leagues. I'd rather. Then that's when my agent hit me like, what would you think of going abroad? And I thought, you know what, going abroad, I've never had a problem with that idea of going abroad. I definitely wouldn't mind doing that. So it was an easy decision for me to do. And then when the teams that he came across with some teams as well, and just hearing Fortuna and what they were offering, and how the sporting director at the time came and met me himself and spoke to me and told me exactly what he wanted, I couldn't say no. So I feel like it was I feel like it was good. It was good at the time.
Yeah, you've said there that it was something that never really scared you, but was there in any sort of way any struggles to deal with the change of lifestyle from being in England for so long? Even not necessarily just the football, in terms of lifestyle, obviously making new friends. Was there anything that you sort of struggled with initially?
I think it was just me in general, just adapting to first team football was the main thing. Because I went in and I didn't have that time. They didn't really give me the time to adapt as much as I'd want to. Because I came in from youth level straight into first team, and I was almost the main man straight away, which I felt like was a lot of pressure on me. But it was just difficult, like adapting to that first team level straight away. It would have been easy if I had someone to guide me, or someone like maybe an older striker who I could learn off, or could talk to all the time, and instead of being the main man straight away and have that pressure and not really knowing how to deal with it, and obviously being away from home, so you're away from your family, your friends. So it was everything was quite difficult at the time, but I feel like the main one was just having that pressure of being the main man too soon. And I'm saying, because in my head, I thought I was the guy. I thought I was like, yeah, this is me. I'm going into this team and I'm going to do my thing. But then reality hit and I was like, no, this is not it. You still have to learn. You still have a long way to go. And I just wish I had someone who could guide me and almost like show me the ropes of how to be a better centre forward and better player initially, like, and not having that pressure on me straight away like that. I think that would have been the best for me. That would have been the best for me at that moment in time. That's what I would have needed at that moment in time.
So what I really wanted to talk about as well, it's becoming certainly a lot more common theme for players who are in England to take on the challenge abroad. Obviously, you see it across Europe, like of Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham, yourself, to take that risk and go abroad. What would you say, in your opinion, are the benefits of trying to better your career elsewhere, overseas?
Of course, it's just something different. Like, there's nothing wrong with going down the leagues or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. Like, but it's just something. It was just different for me. Like, being able to go abroad and just become my own man and become my own person. Like, figuring out who you are. Like, yeah, obviously just learning different playing styles and working under different cultures. And I think just how much you can learn from going abroad, like how different everything is. Like, you can just learn and bring it into your own game and use what you've learned in the English league to bring it back into the Dutch league where I was. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can benefit from, but mainly I would say definitely the learning side of it, because I feel like the Dutch league was definitely more of a place where they worked on your technical ability a lot more. So everything was technical. And I felt like in the UK, it's more like physical and tactical, and it's very different compared to the Dutch league. And Dutch league required more technical ability, which they would put into your training every single day. So eventually I got better and better and better as a technical player, which was needed. So I would say definitely the learning side of it was definitely the biggest thing for me coming abroad.
What would you say the differences, the big differences are then between English football and football overseas from your experiences?
I would definitely say the technical side of it, in terms of from a young age, the main thing that they teach you is the technical side of it straight away. Like they really want to focus on your technical ability. I feel like everything else comes after and much more later into like your career. Like in the UK, it was more like a very, very physical. Like I wouldn't say obviously we still touch on technical ability and stuff like that, but I feel like the British the English league was more like the Prem obviously was more tactical and very demanding physically compared to the Dutch league. The Dutch league will still have its physical demands, but compared to the Prem and the British league, it was very, very different. Well, I feel like technically it was where everything was at. Their main focus was just on technical ability and to get you better as a technical player. That was the main thing.
The aeroplane journeys didn't exactly stop for you there, I don't think. You're currently on loan now at Danish Superliga side Randers. How is life treating you in Denmark? You said at the top that, taking in obviously COVID and stuff like that, so maybe it would have been different in different times. But in terms of the football, obviously what inspired that move initially? And as I've said, how is the football there? How is it treating you in terms of the job?
Yeah, here in Randers, I'm enjoying myself. I'm really liking it, something different again. I feel like I've gone into a strong team. Like the team that we're in right now is a very strong team. Very respected team in the league also. I feel like what inspired the move was just something like I just wanted more playing time and become a regular number 9. But yeah, like at Holland, I was finding that, but then I felt like where our heads was at, me and the club was in 2 different spaces. So I felt like I needed to go somewhere, maybe get more experience and maybe come back and show who I am then. But that's where the main thing happened to me, was coming over here was just to obviously learn again and be somewhere where they can push me more and more and just teach me different tactical stuff, and just to be better, really. That's the main thing for me, was just to get more playing time. That's where my head was at. And here in Randers is where they offered that. They offered me more playing time, and that's where my head was really at. Just looking for somewhere where they can trust me and I can go into somewhere and just become, the player that I want to be.
I wanted to also mention a little bit more about loan deals. We're seeing it currently, prime examples in the Premier League, how important a loan deal can be for a player. As you've mentioned, in terms of game time, learning new things. And I think this is the first loan deal that you've experienced. How much has it taught you then to sort of play for another club, but know that you're also involved with the parent club as well? It's quite an interesting topic. So from your side, how important can it be and how beneficial can it be?
It can be good for you. It just depends on what your situation is. I can't really, it's really, for me, let me just answer for me, because going on to other people's, it would be too difficult. So for me, it was just a thing where I just want to play time, and it just gave me exactly what I needed. And obviously to learn more things, because I'm always a player who wants to learn as much as I can of different types of players and different types of strikers that we have. So even over here, I'm learning so much of the strikers that are in the club right now. So, and obviously my coach as well, he's very demanding as well, but he's very, very patient and has time to explain to you and how he wants you to play. And so I was very appreciative to go somewhere like Randers where they were willing to do that for me.
So I just wanted to ask you 2 quick questions from your experience so far. Who's the best player you played with, and who's the best player you've come up against?
Best player I played with. I couldn't say one player. I hate when people ask me a question. I honestly hate it. I can't say one player. There's so many good players that I've played with. Like, where do I even begin? Like, I couldn't
for you to decide, not me.
Yeah, it's too many for me to just pick one. You know, I'll say the best player I've played against. The best player I've played against, I would say, is definitely, I would say out of two players, Tadic and Quincy Promise. Just because on that day we played against Ajax, they gave us hell. Like, I think the Promise scored a hat-trick. And this is all second half. They just turned it up. Like, Ajax is such a phenomenal team that they just turned it up, and Tadic was just in the pocket, and just watching him how he plays was just so inspiring. Like, you just want to literally record him and just watch his games like all the time. Like, he's a great player. And then Quincy Promise and how he can punish teams and how he scores goals and how he's in the right place at the right time. Honestly, two the best players I played against, definitely. And then, honestly, I can't answer the best player I played with. So you're gonna have to
come on, mate. These questions aren't going to be easy for you. Otherwise, it wouldn't be no fun for me, would it? So come on, at least throw a few names out there for the viewers.
I'll throw names out there. So wait, played with or trained with? Because that's two different things.
Two different things. You're right. Yeah. To be honest, I should know this. I'm the one asking the questions. But go on, we'll split them in half then. Best player you trained with and best player you played with. Best
players I've trained with.
Yeah.
Too much knowledge. It was just, it's Wayne Rooney. I think it's self-explanatory. Like, Wayne Rooney was too clear. He was too wavy. And it's gonna surprise you, but Gareth Barry,
to be honest, I've heard a lot of stuff about Gareth Barry in terms of professionalism, just constant relentlessness in terms of work rate, wanting to be the best he is.
Honestly, in training, I couldn't get near him, and it was frustrating. So much more older than me, but just because he's so experienced, he just knew how to like body feint and give him that extra yard, and I just couldn't I couldn't even grab his shirt. Like, he was honestly too clever. Best player I've played with, though, I would say, probably Ademola Lookman, actually. Yeah, Lookman. What? Definitely Lookman. He was too clear. Honestly, technically, and then how ruthless he was. And for me, honestly, at one stage, I would say he was the best player at Everton at one stage.
Wow.
That's how amazing I thought he was. He's my age, and you know what I'm saying? Or Balassi, actually. He was another one. Balassi. He was another one who was technically can't get near him. But luckily he was always on my team, so I was okay. But
it's funny that you mentioned Yannick Balassi, because as I was scrolling through social media this morning, I came across a video. And I think it was potentially when he was at Palace, and it was the men's team against the women's team. Have you seen the video? He just absolutely tears the team on his own, and you just think, look, the women's game, no joke. You know what I mean? They are some established players in that, and for him to just absolutely rip them. I think what you're saying there is probably backed a little bit by that video. Yeah.
Saw what he was doing in training, like, ridiculous. Honestly, ridiculous. Like, just technically, he was few street skills. That's what he used to say to him. No, obviously too good.
So just quickly before we finish up, although you've obviously had a lot of experience, you are still only 23. what are the future goals and ambitions for Bass Sambou? Not just for the rest of the season, not just next season, but what are the goals and the achievements you want to look back at when the time does come to hang up your boots? What are the things that you want to achieve before that time comes?
Obviously, to play international level, play Champions League, Europa League football, and obviously one of the biggest ones for me is definitely going back to the Prem. Like, I feel like all these little steps that I'm doing right now, all these little loan moves and the playing abroad is just learning curves to get to where I want to get to the top, back to the Prem. So yeah, I'm also in a rush either. I feel like all these little things that I'm doing right now is just, I have to take my time with these things. I feel like if I rush them, then it's not the right thing for me. If I take my time and make the right move and learn, then eventually when I'm at the top, when I'm in the Prem, it will be the right time and I'll be experienced enough and I'll be ready for that Prem move and that, you know what I'm saying, and that level.
Because obviously, you know, you've had all the experience from mad countries, mad different opportunities. I just thought it'd be so sick, and I just thought to myself, you know, it's been a long time since we've had a good chat, bro. So I did appreciate it, man.
Very long, man. You know, it's been a minute since I've even saw you on road or anything.
Yeah, I cannot thank you enough for joining the Content Podcast. It was a pleasure not only to have a catch up with you to see how you were, but to also get an insight into a lot of interesting things that we've discussed today. And I wish you nothing but success for the rest of your career.
Honestly, I just want to say a big thank you for having me on here again. Obviously, having me on here, like, obviously, you know what I mean? I'm just supporting your thing, innit? Like, just want to be appreciation and stuff, man. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, what a brilliant podcast that was, even if I do say so myself. Thanks a lot, Bass, once again, and thanks to everyone who's watched or listened. The content has got a lot of exciting things coming up, so be sure to like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow on all social media for more content by The Content.